Winter Tales, How Little Wolf Fell into a Trap. Author Olga Kobylska. In one of the enchanted forests, there once lived a young wolf named Little Wolf from the Wolfenko family. He was very energetic and quick, always eager to be everywhere and see everything, and often came up with interesting activities. But his impulsiveness and sometimes poorly thought out ideas would often land him in trouble. The first winter days had arrived. A slight frost had turned autumn puddles into glistening ice patches. Despite his mother's pleas, Little Wolf would often dash outside without a hat and with his coat unbuttoned, claiming he didn't feel cold because he ran and jumped so quickly. Recently, in history lessons, Little Wolf and his animal friends had learned about primitive hunting methods. Little Wolf was particularly fascinated by how traps were set up on forest paths in ancient times. After enjoying a hearty lunch of delicious borscht at home, he decided to try out an experiment. He grabbed a shovel, dug a small pit at a crossroads, placed metal clamps in it, covered it with fallen leaves and even set a string nearby. Then he hid behind a nearby bush and began to wait. But staying still for long was impossible for the young wolf. He soon started to fidget, then jump around, and when he noticed a frozen puddle nearby, he turned it into an ice rink. He ran, slid, and skated with his paws here, there, gliding like a bird. He got so engrossed that he forgot about the trap. And when he took another big run and skated with all his might, bam! He slid right to the crossroads, caught the string, spun around, tumbled, and got his paw caught right in the trap. The metal clamps clenched tightly with their sharp teeth. He was stuck. Oh no! Help! Someone quickly set me free! Little Wolf howled at the top of his lungs. Luckily, some little rabbits passing nearby saw Little Wolf in trouble and immediately called for the adults. Little Wolf's father gave him quite the scolding. "What kind of ideas are these? Tested how it works, did you? Enjoyed it?" he sternly asked. "Remember for life, those who set traps for others often end up caught in them themselves."
The Tale of How Hedgehog Saved Squirrel on the Ice Rink. Author, Olga Kobylska. The first snow had arrived in the magical forest. Hedgehog Stepan loved the arrival of winter because snow always brought joy: sledding, skiing, snowball fights. Hedgehog Stepan took out a warm coat and hat from his closet. Goose found his favorite red scarf to wrap around his neck and boots to keep his feet warm. Together with his friend Goose, they even planned to build an ice slide near Hedgehog's house soon. They just needed to wait for more snow. This morning, Stepan stepped outside to sweep the snow off the path that led to the gate. He cleared the path and walked around the house to check if the snowstorm had broken any branches in the garden. Suddenly, he heard a commotion coming from the forest lake. Without hesitation, Hedgehog decided to run over and see what was happening. Meanwhile, the squirrel sisters, knowing that the frost had covered the lake with ice over the past few days, decided to remember how to skate. They dressed in cute sports suits and yellow hats, and began joyfully gliding across the ice, their skates sparkling and the wind whistling. They whirled and danced, so absorbed in fun they didn't hear when the ice started cracking in some spots. Suddenly, one of the squirrels jumped and splashed right into an icy hole. "Oh no!" cried her sister. "Hold on. I'll pull you out." She rushed to help, but the ice began to crack under her paws. "Wait, don't come too close," the squirrel in the cold water warned her sister. "It's better to call for help." Even though they weren't far from the shore, it was still impossible to reach the bottom. The squirrel flailed her front paws desperately, but the ice kept breaking around her. Her sister quickly unwrapped her scarf and, holding one end, threw it into the water, but it was too short. Luckily, two little rabbits, who were training to become police officers, were running by. They exercised every morning on the forest trails and had heard the noise near the lake. "What's happened?" The rabbits quickly assessed the situation.
Hold onto my back legs, one of the rabbits crawled over to help the squirrel splashing in the water. His brother lay down on the ice behind him and held onto his boots tightly. The rabbit crawled closer to the squirrel, grabbed her paw, and began pulling her toward safety. But just then, the ice cracked, and now both the rabbit and the squirrel were in the cold water. Thankfully, Hedgehog Stephen arrived just in time. He knew exactly what to do in such a situation. Quickly grabbing a log branch, he extended it towards the squirrel and the rabbit. "Grab on and hold tight. I'll pull you two short together." Hedgehog and the other rabbit and squirrel pulled the branch together. It slid smoothly over the snow-covered ice. Within 3 minutes, the rescued animals were standing on the shore, shivering from the cold. Stephen took off his coat and wrapped it around the squirrel, while the rabbit was bundled up in his brother's warm jacket. "Let us head to my place." Stephen and the animals quickly ran to Hedgehog's house, which was the closest. At home, Stephen gave them dry clothes, wrapped the squirrel and the rabbit in a warm blanket, and brewed hot tea with raspberry jam. The other rabbit ran to the hospital to fetch Dr. Frog Janet. While they warmed up and calmed down, Stephen explained, "As soon as the first frost hits, you mustn't go onto the ice, it is deceptively thin. Couldn't you wait just a few more days? We were just so excited to skate. But now we know not to go on thin, untested ice," promised the squirrels. News of the adventure quickly spread through the forest. Dr. Janet brought medicine to prevent colds and some tasty vitamins. The beaver rescuers took the squirrels and rabbits home and planned a safety talk for the weekend. Relieved that everything ended well, Hedgehog went to visit Goose to craft some new skis together, for winter was just beginning. Who knew how much snow would fall?
The Magic Hedgehog by Olga Kobylska. A hedgehog lived so small and neat, a magic hedgehog quite a feat. He had a hat so odd to see, not too bright yet not too dreary. Its secret was a curious thing, it barely reached his ears, the brim. But with this hat upon his head, the hedgehog's magic quietly spread. Invisible he'd stroll around, helping others safe and sound. When morning sun began to rise, he'd don his cap and suit all nice. Then past the gate without delay he'd start his work out for the day. Through forests deep and fields he'd tread, doing good deeds wherever led. Winter days came, cold and white, he sang his songs in new coat tight. With tiny mittens snug and warm he strolled amidst the snowy storms. And there he saw a bunny cry, his ball had rolled down to the ice nearby. The frost was mild, the ice was thin, and Bunny's ball kept tumbling in. He waved a stick, the ball slid more, and tears fell fast along the shore. The hedgehog thought and hatched a plan, he disappeared, a magic man. With steady paw and branch in grip, he aimed and took a careful dip. One swift move, the ball came back, Bunny leaped with joy no lack. Hugging his prize, he hopped away, grateful for his lucky day. The hedgehog hummed and walked along, still helping others with his song. He soon spied a little squirrel holding a flute with a puzzled twirl. She tried to play but couldn't find the hole to let her song unwind. She twisted, turned, and sighed in woe, then sat upon a stump, head low. The flute beside her, she dozed away, dreaming of tunes she'd one day play. The hedgehog donned his trusty hat, picked up the flute, and just like that adjusted it with expert care, then nudged her paw, "Now try it there." The squirrel woke and gave a blow, a melody began to flow. It spread through woods to hill and dale, a song so sweet it told a tale. Surprised, the squirrel squeaked with glee, "This flute's a magic gift for me. Now I can play my heart's delight, Mom and Dad will beam tonight." Off she skipped, her joy unbound, while Hedgehog strolled without a sound. As he went, he soon espied a little wolf cub stuck and tied. His tail was snagged in a thorny trap, he cried and twisted, snap, snap, snap. No way forward, no way back, the cub was lost in thorny rack. The hedgehog smiled, and with his hat became unseen, and that was that. He tugged the thorns, unhooked the tail, and freed the cub with a happy wail. The wolf leaped up, his tail now free, he wagged it fast, so full of glee. "Thank you, friend," he howled with joy, and raced off like a carefree boy. The hedgehog marched, his task now done, still humming tunes beneath the sun. Where there's need, he lends a paw, bringing help without a flaw. His magic hat, a wondrous thing, helps goodness thrive and kindness spring. For true enchantments always start from acts of love and a giving heart.